Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome. I'm Jamie Phillips, and this is the second session that I'm doing, and I'm actually doing this one um, not on Zoom. Well, I'm on Zoom, but okay. So today we're going to be looking at mindset and disruption in traditional systems. Last week we looked at um beginning band, like, just kind of teaching beginning band with purpose. And we talked about getting them started, going from the instrument rental night. Well, no, from the recruitment, right? We started with recruitment, then we went to the rental night, and then we worked all the way up to the first concert, and we got all the way to Jingle Bells. Okay. And that was a very good time. I enjoyed it, and thank you to everybody who was there. And so right after that, I posted a clip from it, and I chose something controversial, one of the more controversial slides that I knew, and it did its job. It did its job. I even made, so far, I've made, let's see, $6 off of it on Facebook. So yeah, everybody's been engaging. But there have been some people that have been really nasty and rude to me too. And I'm like, why? Like, as a scholar practitioner, are we not supposed to assess and continue to evolve things in the field? So maybe you haven't heard of it before, but that's first, I got it from somewhere, right? Like, I didn't sit there and come up with that. There's a collective that thinks like that. There's research on these things. And the only people that I saw mad was the ones that look like me, of a different gender. But then I saw some of the ones who are the same gender going around amening and, putting their little likes under comments of people, that have opposing opinions and different things. Just know that I see you. Okay. But I ain't worried about you though. Cause you ain't never been able to stop me. You always tried, but I keep succeeding. So continue to go around looking for things. Okay. All right. But I'm not going to waste time on haters, my friends. All right. Now, we are here for mindset and disruption of traditional systems. So if you know me, if you've been knowing me a long time, I have a lot of new followers. But if you have been knowing me a long time, you know that I am a classic disruptor. That's what I do. That is my whole, I love it. I love that. I love to make people think. I love to challenge thinking. I hate group thinking. Um, I always want to challenge. I'm always one of those that's like, why? Okay, you said that, but why? All right. That might have got me slapped around a couple times when I was a teenager by my mom and my daddy. But I want to know why. You have to tell me a reason. You got to give me some more information or give me a way to go get information. I've never been one of those people that just take what someone says at face value just because they said it. I also have not really been big into the band director worship culture. I haven't been into that. Like, since this thing has gone viral, it's been, I mean, I'm being called a narcissist, all the things for being a scholar practitioner in my field. All right. And it's only been my people. Congratulations to you. All right. So we're gonna keep right on moving, because what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep putting stuff out there. And I'm just gonna keep teaching. Now, before I get into it, one last thing. Um, what gave me this idea? Because I'm not somebody, people keep trying to tell me, you need to start a consulting business. I ain't trying to do no consulting businesses. Um, I'm not trying to sell nothing. Um, I just have in my heart, let me take this off because this thing is hot. In my heart, basically, I would just love to see students, our more of our students, more students that look like me, um, as either music educators or as performers in the performance space. And we are totally missing, especially in the symphony orchestra space. And in a lot of other spaces, you look at certain. When I first moved here to Alabama, I looked at I saw a picture. They had a picture on the AMEA website of the Alabama All-State Band. And coming from Georgia, I was alarmed. Coming from Georgia, I was alarmed. Um, it's not a lot of us that get in Georgia, but you have a few schools, we're gonna have some representation up in that piece. Um, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It's gotten a little, I think there were a few sprinkles this year. It's getting a little better, but I just always been one of them people. I'm like, look, if we get medals and everybody wearing medals across their chest, oh, best believe it's gonna be some brown ones up in there with some medals too. If we go into the honor band, or they having an honor band over there for middle school at Auburn University, let me get me two or three together, because we gonna roll up in there too and put some brown up in the section. So that's just always been me. That's what always made me get up and go to work every day and teach my heart out to those kids. And I've been lucky enough to get a few out there in some orchestral spaces and different things. They're in college, they're playing. I got Georgia State. I mean, just everywhere they just killing, and you ask them, they brown, and you ask them, well, who started you, Miss Phillips? So I'm proud of my work. Okay. Even though the haters may not be, but hey, can we talk about the haters real quick? Um, the haters, the haters have a problem because I've never been someone who needed anyone in my career. You see what I'm saying? I've always done my career by myself. And so what gatekeepers are people that, they are successful, right? But they feel like someone has to go through them for everything. And I don't care who you are. You go to the bathroom just like me. We both put our pants on one leg at a time. I don't care. If anybody has always been welcome to come help or whatever, but it's just, I've just never been, like I said, I'm not a worshiper of others. I'm not going to do that. And so, that's got me a few enemies in the field. And sadly, it's people that align with the same beliefs that I teach. The people that align with me, they can't objectively agree with me in public because I didn't go through them and I didn't need them for a job, or I didn't I guess I didn't say, oh my God. I got people I learned from. And I learned from them by attending conferences, being a part of professional organizations, networking, traveling. If you've been following me for a long time, I'm everywhere. I'm at everybody conference that go with anything that I do. I'm interested in. Um, and so, I just that's how, and I've just met people, and my personality, just being myself, being authentic. That is how I met people and learned things, and got phone numbers and different things of people who I call and I've learned from, or people who have said to me, hey, look at this, read this, or you should write this. Here's an article based off of something just like you're talking about. So those are the kind of people that I correspond with, but I'm not going to be that one that has to always, oh, this person is the most popular and they're, da, 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 and you have to go sit under them and go and make them feel better about themselves. I've never been that person. So for that reason, I have a few enemies on that side too. But you know, what do you do? All right. All right. So but I just want you to know I see you. All right. Good. Good, good, good. All right. So mindset and disruption in traditional systems. Let's get going, y'all, because I ain't got time to be on here all day. All right. So let's be honest. Let's be honest, y'all. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let me put these slides up here. Let's talk about it, friends. Okay. So we're looking at building musicians. I believe y'all can see my screen at this point. I need that to stay up, yes, so I can make sure it's showing. So building systems, building musicians instead of maintaining systems is what we're looking at today. Um, and I think that I shouldn't have to explain that. Um, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Building musicians. That's what we come in the building to do. Um, we're not there to build a system. I mean, if the system is already there, right? The system is there, but we need to be focusing on the students. I call them children. I don't care how old they are. They 18, 19, they still children to me. Um, we should be focusing on building the children rather than maintaining systems, especially of tradition. Okay, so let's look at it. All right, so let's be honest, right? Most band programs are not designed to build musicians. They are designed to maintain systems. They are. Um, Not everybody's because people are saying everybody. Honestly, this scholar practitioner, I'm going to speak as it relates to places that I've practiced or things that I've seen or things that people have written to me, people writing questions and different things like that, or things that I've had to explain and describe to others and things like that. If it's not your situation, keep it P, right? So I want you to let that sit though. I don't want you to um rush past that. You see what I'm saying? Most band programs are not designed to build musicians. They are designed to maintain systems. And believe it or not, I would say after what this is year 19 for me in the school system the same way. The system, the system. A lot of times the kids get lost within the system, right? We say that all the time. It happens in band programs too. Okay. So a lot of what we call tradition is just repetition without reflecting on it. So just going back to what we were talking about last week, planning is important. I mean, once you've gotten a few years under your belt and you've done things a few times, you got a couple of pieces of literature, you got your about 5 or 6 years worth of literature under your belt and different things like that, it will become easier, but the planning has to happen on the front end, especially if you're a new teacher. Um, I want to be clear that this is an invitation for you to look at what we built and inherited and what we're choosing to pass on. So many people got so upset about that feeder thing, and it was just crazy because I'm like, do y'all know how many different ideas and different, how things evolve? Do you know how education evolves? It evolves day to day. And music education does the same thing. And there are so many points of view. There's so many, and it's like, are y'all up in arms about anything? Because y'all I mean, it's like, and it's a antiquity in the thinking. It's like it was groundbreaking that I said that I had a opinion, or I brought something out that was research based that's been talked about for years. It's weird, weird. Okay. So what is mindset? Right? What is mindset? So let's talk about mindset. And I don't mean like inspirational poster mindset. Not really a buzzword that you put on the slide, but mindset is a belief system that drives your daily instructional decisions. Not only just your instructional decisions, but your decisions in general. Mindset does. Um, we have a lot of autonomy in the music classroom. Just we do, from elementary all the way through high. We have a lot of autonomy. It's twofold. It's lonely because we're often the only ones that do what we do in our buildings. And on the other side of things, we're kind of, long as we in there teaching, long as we keeping the kids out the office, messing with administration, bothering them, long as we maintain the classroom management, it's a great lot of school. They don't care what you're doing in there. So that's where your mindset will come into play, because you can choose to sit there and not do nothing and not teach. You can make a decision to sit up there and decide, I'm just going to teach whatever they're doing at the high school all day. And because I want to be ready for, I want them to know my arrangement. You can make that choice and decide to do that instead of taking your group to MPA. You can decide to do it. So that's why mindset is very, very important. It's more important than we think in our field. Um, because it shows up in what you prioritize, what you decide to ignore, and what you quietly tolerate. And then some people gonna say, well, again, because we have some challenging people. Um, Not everybody's in the same situation, right? And when I taught in Georgia, I didn't really have. I mean, I took my group anyway before we were forced to take our groups, but there were people who didn't because we didn't have to, and then we were forced to, and it was tied to our stipend. And then, everybody was forced to go. But there are a lot of places that's not like that. I'm in Montgomery right now. Montgomery's like that. You don't have to take your group. You don't have to take your group to do anything. Like, only thing they want you to do is be a warm body. Okay? So you can make that decision to be a warm body if you want to. Thankfully, a lot of people here choose not to. Okay? But you can make that decision. So I want you to look at two columns. On one side is the maintenance mindset. It's the we've always done it this way. Focusing on events, uh, concerts, MPA, football games, right? That means success means participation, putting bodies on stage. The students are vessels and they only exist to fill roles in your program. Right? So you're doing all of that, right? But you're just still, you're developing them, but you're maintaining, which that's okay in some cases. But then on the other side, you have the musicianship mindset. What does this student actually know and what can they do? We're focusing on skill development and transfer. Success means independence and literacy. Students are developing artists with their own musical futures ahead of them, beyond your classroom, beyond the high school. I know a lot of this, we got a lot of people that peaked in high school. We got some that peaked in college too, in that 1 year that they was there before they flunked out. Um, they peaked there. But when you're in front of students, your goal should have them to extend beyond that realm. There's more to musicianship after high school, after college. There's so many more opportunities that they could partake in, that children of color are not getting access to. All right. One mindset produces busy programs, the maintenance. The other produces skilled musicians. Which one are we running with? Which one are we running with? Me personally, I've done a little bit of both. I've done a little bit of both because I've been doing it so long. I have gotten on the maintenance mindset. I know I understand I gotta go. We got this in the fall. We got AMEA meeting in the fall. Okay, then we got to start getting ready for All State. Okay, we waiting on All State stuff to come out. The A2s come out around by August, September, right? Pass them out. All right, let's go. Give me a couple people. Let's go. Who trying to do something? You know. But see, this is where I differ though. The ones that are trying to do something, the ones that are saying, you know what, I want to try for All State. I want to do it. I've been working on my scales, Miss Phillips. I'm in seventh grade, and I think I got it. So what I do, I work with them, even if it's over the summer. We'll meet up there. I work with them over the summer. I've taught summer school. I was lucky enough here to get paid to do summer school and do band camp. Do band over there, summer bridge program or whatever, and do band with kids. Some of them that want to come over the summer to prepare for All State and different things. That one-on-one instruction that they got, and during class, I do a lot of that. I have certain days that I put aside. Okay, if I got a lot of them auditioning, then I'll have certain days that, okay, we'll put this Christmas stuff down and let's spend Tuesday and Thursday on All State. So all you doing is you running scales. We'll run scales together. Then, all right, we'll break off and then y'all go work on your A2. Find a corner and work on your A2. And I go around to each student and help them. So if I have to pick up their instrument, if I got a saxophone player, I got a saxophone. When I said that last week, saxophone up. I know that A2. I learned the A2s on every instrument. All right. Couldn't play them good. Can't play them good now. But enough. The middle school. I taught middle school. Y'all high school people now. I will, I don't know if that's possible. But I was able to learn everybody's A2 for the most part and be able to demonstrate it. Now, brass is not my strong point. So there again, there's your harmony director. Okay, be able to play it on piano. Be able to play it on piano. That way you can help. That way you can let that metronome click on that harmony director, and you can kind of play along with them. Or what I did too with some of them, well, this is more so solo and ensemble. I would learn the piano accompaniments, and play the piano accompaniment along with them. Just different things like whatever you have to do, really making music with your kids develops that musicianship mindset. Okay. Next thing. All right. So naming what we feel but don't say. So here's what we name the things that most of us feel. We rarely say out loud in a staff meeting or a department conversation. These are the traditional patterns baked into band culture. And I'm not saying every program does all of these. Gatekeepers and haters. I'm saying be honest about which ones live in yours. So you got performance over process, right? The concert is the destination. I'm guilty of this too. The concert is the destination. Everything else, skill development, musical understanding is the afterthought. If it makes the calendar at all. And I am really guilty of this. Because what I would oftentimes, okay, with sixth grade, they're in the red book. Towards the end of the year, around about April, I'll start moving them out of the red book and maybe pull out one like 0.5 or grade one piece for them. But they're consistently in the book. Consistently. And seventh and eighth grade, I had some years where I stuck with it. The blue book with seventh grade, the blue standard of excellence. Then I had the eighth grade move to the green standard of excellence. And some years I'm really good at it, and then other years are not. I'll just be, oh shoot, I forgot to get in the book. Another book that I like is that Foundations book. That's another one that I have. I'm keeping their binders. And so we try to hit those every day, something out of there every day, different things like that. But sometimes you do get busy and you don't have time to do that. So I'm guilty of that too. Songs before skills. We teach music before students have the fundamentals to actually understand it. The repertoire leads, the student scrambles to follow. Sound familiar? Right? So that's the marching band crowd. That's the I want a middle school marching band because I want them to play my arrangements. That's them. But the kids can't play the first three notes of the concert B flat scale, you know. So hey, feeder mentality. Uh-oh. Control based hierarchy where middle school exists to serve the high school. Done not to serve students. Middle school doesn't exist to serve students. It exists to serve the high school. Okay? We'll come back to this one more in depth. Okay. Habit disguised as pedagogy. And this is one I want you to sit with. If you can't explain why you do something instructionally, it's not pedagogy. Right? So last week, what we did, we sat there, we broke down, we talked about the beginning of the book, the starting them out and all the things, the whys. I was able to tell you they need those whole notes, whole rest in time for band and whole lot of counting and those different things. A whole lot of counting, they're going to move to the different. I can explain to you what's happening instructionally. Those are called standards, my friends. Those are called standards. Every state has them. Are you teaching to the standards? Are you teaching to the standards? Is standards-based learning happening in your classroom? Right? But then you crying about funding and why you're not getting funding. Okay? All right. So tradition is not a problem. Unexamined tradition is, and that is the line, my friends. Okay? All right. Disruption is not rebellion. It is redesign. All right. I want to be precise about the word disruption because it gets misread. Disruption is not rebellion. It's not burning things down. Disruption means intentionally changing practices that do not produce the outcomes you claim to value. It's building something better in its place. Right? That's why you study things. You keep things evolve. Things evolve. 3 examples of what disruption actually looks like in your rehearsal room. You teach skills first and not songs. Slow down. Teach tone. When we talked about last week, those whole notes, whole wrist. Right? We talked about that, right? Teach them tone first. Okay? The middle school student, they have to get all almost together, everything together. Okay? They got to get that grounded before we had them out there playing ho chick. All right? The piece is the vehicle, it's not the destination. So within the piece, which I've been talking about this for years, I would teach this to everybody who student taught with me. Every piece of literature has concepts and standards within it. It has a lot of time, most of them, especially the beginning band stuff, it'll have in there, hey, this piece explores quarter notes, first 5 notes, first 6 notes, concert E flat. Okay, So a lot of times when I would pick literature, not only was it things that I like and were pleasing to my ear, but also they were the standards within that piece, the things that piece had in it, was why I chose it. I would choose a certain piece because you know what? We need to work on syncopation. You see what I'm saying? I want to drive that point home. Or, oh, I like this, and it's a 6/8. So we're gonna work on, yeah, I want eighth grade to work on 6/8 time. I want to make sure they know that before they come from up under me and feed over. Right? We'll keep going with that. Okay. Mastery over calendar. Are they ready to learn this? Not. We have to perform it by November, but are they ready to learn it? So a lot of times what I use for my measurable outcome, um, that's what I use MPA for. MPA would be a vehicle, those scores, those comments and different things from year to year. I really go back and look at those rubrics, and that is what I break down and I look at, okay, well, these are the things we need to work on. These are the things we did master this year. These are the things that we didn't master this year. So I need to go back and reteach this. Or, well, we mastered this. Oh, these trumpets mastered. These trumpets, they mastered all the standards, right? Everything on the rubric went down. The trumpets getting rave reviews this year at MPA. But they all in eighth grade. So I'm about to lose them. Uh-oh. Well, I need to go. I need to make sure I really get down on my sixth grade trumpets and make sure that though that data, right? Data driven instruction. Y'all hear some terms that you hear in your faculty meetings? Yeah, they can be used in the band room too. All right. Third, individual over ensemble convenience. Prioritizing full band sound over individual understanding. It hides gaps. A big, beautiful ensemble sound can cover up a kid that really has no idea what's going on. So putting them in those individual things, those all states, those solo and ensembles, those different things that can help you work with them to identify those gaps. Okay. And this is the way, y'all, I'm not saying nothing new. This is the way people teach everywhere. But in some in your bigger places like your Texases and all of them, they have multiple middle school band directors. I, just like many of you, had to do it all by myself. Had to do it all by myself. I'm not gonna sit up here and cap and say it ain't a lot of work. But you took the job, so serve children. Moving forward. All right, so of not this. So we have students who can perform but cannot function as musicians outside of our classroom. Okay. I want to add to that as well. My people, a good number of my people, not all of us, but a good number of us, where are we going with our music? And I have people who have told me and said, man, I wish you were my band director. I wish I had a band director that encouraged us to be competitive and to be musician, to be not just in band, but to be a musician. I wish I could play in a symphony, or I would have learned, the value of those things within my program. And they're not going to say that because out loud, because everybody respects their band director. But it's the truth. And some people need to hear the real. They need to hear from those kids that, you know, they they're stuck right now in life. And all they have to their name right now is to sit and critique bands and in form on Facebook, critique music educators and all that because they secretly wanted to be one, but they didn't complete the process, and they got a violin story, you know, and really to me they're they were failed. They were failed. They were given a ceiling. They were given a ceiling. All right. Oh Lord, the cost of not disrupting. Early plateaus. Students stop growing because the system stops challenging them, or never built the infrastructure to push them forward in the first place. They plateau early and we're okay with it. So that's those kids that were in middle school making all state, making district honor band or close to it, and then they go over to high school and all they doing is parade to parade. Those kids have plateaued. They're not picking up new skills. They're not learning new literature. They're not moving forward with literature. If they were in a situation where they were doing, you know, 1-2 split or grade two, you would think they would be able to go to high school and at least maybe start with a two, 2.5, three, move up to three, move up to four, just kind of they can learn a few new concepts, pick up a few new key signatures and, you know, time signatures and different things and concepts. They plateau because they go to the high school and they're just over there playing whatever, you know. And then they can never say the other thing that they're robbed of, they can never say, I played this literature. That was the best thing for me in band. That I loved just sidebar. And I got to get off of here, so I know I got to stop talking. But my favorite thing about band in high school was going in there for homerooms. When I was at Forest Park, going in there for homeroom, and we had band for homeroom and first period. And so just running that literature, playing those pieces, those I mean, just, all of the things. I'm not going to name, but you name it, we played it. I mean, just wonderful literature. I was in grade 5, 6 bands in high school, so I'm lucky enough to say I got to play the literature, you know. Um, in college, not so much, but in high school, I did get to play the literature, the standard wind band literature. Talent dependency. Directors lean on gifted students to carry the program. The gaps between those students and everyone else quietly widen. The rest of the class gets left behind, not maliciously, but systematically, because we're doing what's best for the band, right? The illusion of success. Programs that look great on stage but aren't educationally sound. Trophies without transfer. That's them trophies y'all be getting down there at Pookie's Battle of the Band. Y'all be breaking y'all neck. Y'all be breaking y'all neck. Y'all have y'all break y'all neck. You break your neck, and you break your neck to go get trophies down at the Battle of the Bands down there in the Winn-Dixie parking lot. You break your neck to do that, and I don't understand it, but it is what it is. But that's the illusion of success, because it really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't add any value to to anything. It's just entertainment, you know. And it's fine to provide entertainment all the time, but I find a lot of times that prioritize that. We prioritize it. Like we won't take the group the MPA. We won't let them go on stage, but we'll run them down there to shout at them parking lot down there to go blow against Saudis, shout at them, all y'all. I saw something on YouTube the other day. I'm gonna shut up. I almost threw up in my mouth. All right. It's not about shame, but it's just about stakes. The cost of disrupting is paid by real students. These are people, these are individuals, these are people that are spending time under you and they're not learning. Okay. They're right now. Human beings. All right. Rebuilding with intention. Hope is not passive. Hope is a design decision. Let's talk about the 3 concrete shifts that move a program from maintenance to musicianship. Excuse me. From tradition to intentional design. Every decision has a reason, and that reason is tied to outcomes, not to history. We do this because we've always done it. It's not a reason. We do this because research Let me say that one more time, friends. Research. Say it with me together. Say research. And experience tells us it produces these results. That's the reason. All right. From group success to individual competency. All right. Group success to individual competency. It's excellent that your group does well. But what about those individuals? What happens to those players? What happens with those when you get that kid, when you get that kid that was in middle school kicking tail or whatever, or you get that kid that just starts with you and they're super talented, they are practicing all the time. What do you do with that kid? What do you do with that kid? I got a kid like that 3 years ago. Walk into my band room. I was teaching summer band at McKee. She was in 5th grade at the time. Her name is Destiny. She's a tuba player here in Montgomery. She walked in my band room. She did the 5th grade, the summer bridge program, and I did music that summer. And so she came through and I lit the 5th graders. They would come to me. They went around to different things for the summer bridge program. That's what it was. They got to try like sample little thing, all the things they do at they're gonna do at the middle school when they get there. And so she comes to the band room, she walks right in, 5th grader, and she says, I want to be in band. I think I want to play the tuba. Never played before, never just she just said, I want to play the tuba. I picked the tuba. And she's a taller girl, so I was like, okay, well, if you sure that's what you want to do, then we'll get you going. This is what you need. You just need to get a mouthpiece. I got the horn here, and all the things. And that baby got that tuba. And when I say it ain't stopped, in 6th grade, she was practicing. She was doing so well. I said, you know what, baby? When your mama come pick you up, take this tuba home. That way you have a tuba at the house and you have a tuba here at school. That thing took off, baby. That thing took off. When I tell you, making every other honor band, she just made the Alabama All-State Band this year. I'm very proud, very, very proud of her. She made the Alabama All-State Band this year, and I'm very, very proud. But individual competency, individual, you got to still develop individuals. So when you have those exceptional kids, because see, you're going to end up losing those exceptional kids like that with that group think mentality that a lot of us have so bad in band. From event-based to skill-based teaching, before every unit asks, what skill is this piece reinforcing? If the answer is unclear, go back to the plan. So again, selecting literature based off of standards. What's in the piece? Right? Be very intentional when you're selecting literature. What's in the piece? Look at the piece. Before you select the piece, don't just say, I like this piece, so we playing it. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, look at it. Look and see, what are the keys? What keys are you working in? What keys are going on here? What are you working on in class? We talk about concert E flat, right? Select something in E flat then. Make sure you don't have a key change where it's going to F because you ain't went over F yet. Right? You ain't went over that with them. You ain't talked about that E natural. You ain't talked about that C sharp. Okay? So it's those things what we need to look at when we're selecting literature. We are not here to protect the systems, y'all. We are here to build up people. And more intentionally, I'm hurting for my people. Okay? All right. Slide 8. The blueprint, making instruction truly sound. What does instructionally sound actually mean inside of a band room? It's not a complex jargon, y'all. I promise you it's not. It is designed at every moment of your teaching with a clear measurable purpose. And that purpose prioritizes genuine music growth over rote performance. Okay? 5 components of that blueprint. 1, backwards design. Backwards design. I hear this one a lot. I score, if you ever heard of EdTPA, right? EdTPA, the EdTPA certification test that teachers in some states have to take. I score, I'm a scorer for them. I've been doing it for about 5 years. I see a lot of backwards design in there. All right. Um, and I score for performing arts teachers. So I see a lot of band, orchestra, choir, different things like that. And a lot of people write in their narration about backwards design. Starting with the skill or standard that you want the student to master. So you start with the standard first. That's how I have always taught. It just didn't have a fancy name. But that's how I've always thought to do it. I start with the standards. I look at, okay, I look at the data. I look at what we needed to work on, what the judges said we needed to improve on. I listen to the tapes a million times. And then that's how I build my backwards design from data. And I start with those standards. And then I select literature from those standards. Okay. 2, explicit skill instruction. So you don't assume that they know anything. You teach everything. You break everything down from production to rhythm to articulation. Sight reading, Lord, I got to do a session on sight reading. Sight reading, you put it all into bite-sized, actionable steps. Isolate, make them play by themselves. Drill over and over again, and then apply it. That's that explicit skill instruction. Okay. I think it was in Clayton County, it became a whole thing. We all had to do it like district wide, not just the performing arts, but the whole district in terms of learning. If you were a teacher, you had to apply explicit instruction in your classroom. All right. 3, standards as a framework. So your standards, they not just little bureaucratic governmental things, they're your instructional compass. So you use them to guide your curriculum. They're comprehensive. It's comprehensive, progressive skill development. It's not box checking. You know what I'm saying? But at least you know I'm teaching by the standards. I ain't gonna, and I don't have a folder with the standards sitting in my room every year. I don't sit there and look at it every year, but I just know what I do. I know it's instructionally sound. I know it is, and I know that it is the standards. Now, a lot of the good thing about a lot of the music education associations, a lot of their events and the different things that we participate in, and the things that we send kids to, they are based off standards. So they're based off of data. They're based off of they're standards driven. Okay. So if you participate in things like that, you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Okay. All right. Formative assessment. So you're regularly checking for understanding during the learning process. Okay, so it's not, we're not doing summative, but formative assessment. So we're checking for understanding. We're making them play by themselves, right? We're saying, hey, let me hear that. Let me hear you play that. And when you're saying, let me hear you play that, and kid is going, sit down beside them, or get your flute and say, I'll play with you, and then that way you can give targeted, just quick little, oh, put your finger right there. That's what you're doing wrong. Hey, baby, there you go. And it's tied directly to the specific skills, right? Real time adjustments, reteach it when necessary. And a lot of times I had to reteach, but it's a feedback loop. Okay, it's not really a grade you put in the system. So a lot of times I do playing tests, I wouldn't even put them in. The playing test is for me to just see if you know how to switch between D and C, B and A. I want to see if you know how to do that. You know, transferable outcomes. Every piece, every exercise, every activity. Ask what enduring skill will my students gain from this that they can apply elsewhere? If you can't answer that, revisit the plan. Okay. And I'm not talking about transferable to the high school. I taught them how to crank at the middle school, so they know how to crank at the high school. So they transferred it over to the high school, and then they go, and then they'll know how to crank when they go to the college. No, we're talking about transferable skill outcomes as it relates to workforce development. Like, can they take are these skills that they can take and audition for a military band? Are these skills that they can take and audition for an audition group, jazz group, or symphony orchestra, or whatever it is that they want to do with their music, right? We should want the mountaintop for our students. That's just me. Standards aren't about paperwork. They're the architectural plans for building genuine, adaptable musicians who can thrive both inside and outside of school. Okay. How many slides I got? All right, slide 9. I got the first one, y'all. Closing the loop. So if your goal is to build musicians, then everything in your program has to align with that goal. So tomorrow's most effective directors are not going to be the ones who perfectly preserve tradition. I didn't preserve tradition. I did. I told how I teach for the kids that's in front of me. I don't care nothing about no tradition. I don't care nothing about what no. I don't call nobody prof, but I don't give a dang what nobody prof said. What nothing. I teach for the children in front of me because they're going to be the ones who knew what to keep. Those directors are. They knew what to keep, what to change, and why. That clarity is not inherited, it is built. It's built through honest, sometimes uncomfortable examination of what we're actually doing and who is actually serving, not who it looks like it's serving, who actually is. But how do you know that without measurable outcomes? This is your pivot moment. Okay, so we're going to pivot on to the theater conversation. All right. When pushback is actually a spark. So that challenged my thinking. Somebody said, wrote in the form, they said, what challenged my thinking was when you talked about the high schools relying on the middle schools as feeders. Um, and that's what the high schools are supposed to do. I'm not negating that. That's where they get their kids from. A lot of people are starting kids in high school. So I think most directors could just pray to God that they get some kids from the middle school. Okay. But when a participant, when someone says something like that, I hear it. You know what I'm saying? I hear it. I don't hear it as resistance unless you're rude and nasty, or you're doing something to taunt me or something to make me upset. I don't look at it like that. Most people inbox me and ask questions, or like hit me up or call me. Some people video chatted me. I even answer the phone. Like, I don't mind answering questions. When I get upset is when people talk around me. You know what I'm saying? So when someone said that challenged their thinking, that means we talking about something real. So I appreciate that. Okay. So we're gonna deepen it. We're gonna deepen it, y'all. All right. So, excuse me. Some of you said that the last session challenged your thinking about the middle schools not being feeders. That means that we're starting to examine the system instead of just operating inside of it. The moment we label a middle school as a feeder, we stop asking what students actually need and start asking what the high school wants. That's what I'm challenging you to think. I'm challenging you to think about your students, your black and brown students, all of them, even the ones that ain't. If you got some, think about them as individuals, as humans. Education is human development, right? We have a lot of people teaching out of field now. We have a lot of people teaching band that did not go to school for education. So you don't have those human development courses. You don't have those developmental psychology courses. Um, you're so there are things that we don't know, right? So that's why I'm talking about it. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Just to help, if I can help one person, right? So what a feeder actually does. So the word does carry a philosophy. And the philosophy has real consequences for real students in real classrooms. And let's unpack it. Firstly, it centers the high school. So the moment you call a feeder program, the high school becomes the end goal. Everything below it, every middle school teacher, every sixth grader picking up an instrument for the first time, if they've done some work at the elementary, they become a pipeline. Just not a community, but just a pipeline, pretty much. It creates supply chain thinking. So we're not thinking about the students as people, as humans. Middle school becomes about output, quantity, and compliance, not student development. So I just want to challenge middle school directors to not consider yourselves as that. Consider yourselves, you can build a program. Middle school programs can go to Midwest. Middle school programs can perform at your state conference. Middle school students can perform in all state bands. They can make all state orchestras. They can perform in symphony orchestra, youth ensembles, and different things of that nature. They have them for them because they can develop skills too. Who would have thought? Okay. So you start, you just start. Some people, some of us, we look at successes. How many kids go over to the high school band? And some of us, we want to be the high school. We want to, our sole purpose is just to teach marching band in high school. So you want to be over there anyway. So all of your, instead of you focusing on and developing the kids in front of you, you ready to run over there and get on the ladder. Those are the ones mad really about the feeder thing, if we can be honest. It also encourages rushing. Curriculum gets sequenced around high school readiness, not student mastery. So we're not teaching the standards. We're not going one at a time. We're not teaching keys. We're not going B flat. Okay, E flat. All right, F. All right, then A flat. We throwing them in D flat so they can play I remember or whatever random arrangement you came up with. So their skills get skipped, gaps get buried, and those buried gaps show up later, sometimes much later, when they're very hard to address. Or when that kid is flunked out of school and they love music and they're sitting around saying, man, I wish I was good enough to do something with my instrument besides sit here on a cut talking about college students all day. You know. Feeder system is efficient for programs, but it is not always effective for students. Okay. So that's the tension that we're looking at. Okay. All right. Feeder thinking versus foundation thinking. Look at these two columns side by side. On the left, feeder thinking, driven by high school expectations, rushed by the next level's timeline, compliance over development, the program is a priority. On the right, foundation thinking, built around how students actually learn, focused on skill acquisition and transfer, not rushed by external expectations, designed for long-term musicianship. Then say this with me. Middle school is not a feeder program. Okay. It is a foundational program. If you're teaching elementary band, it is the same thing. It's a foundational program. Okay. It's a foundational program. Okay. So that little reframe right there, it just changes the entire instructional philosophy. What you teach, how fast you move, and who you believe you are ultimately serving, which is those students. Before we forget, we be so knee deep in director worship. We're not here for the directors. We're here for these students. Slide 4, this is a mindset issue, my friends. Okay, this is not about terminology. This is about mindset. So when you think feeder, you teach for the next director. Every decision you make is shaped by what the high school expects to receive. You become a supplier. Your students become product. When you think foundation, you teach for the student. Every decision is shaped by what the child needs to grow as a musician and as a person. You become an educator in the fullest sense of the word. Congratulations. Okay. One mindset builds programs. One mindset builds people. Marinate that in a minute. Just marinate in that. So the real question here, friends, are your instructional decisions based on what your students need or what the next level expects? Mine have always been based off of what my students need. Mine have always been based off of what the students need. Um, People are commenting on me on the feeder thing, that viral clip that I put out. They're saying she needs to work with the high school director. You don't know what I do. You know what I've been doing. I work with the high school director. As a matter of fact, the last one I worked with here in Montgomery, my kids fed into two different high schools, but I work very closely with one high school director. I work very closely with one. And I'm trying to make sure I bridge my kids over to both of them, if they wanted to go to both of them. But just one in particular I worked really well with because it was reciprocal. The relationship was reciprocal. I can, he can say he can say, hey, you know what? I'm great at this marching band thing. Can you come help me get this group together or whatever? Okay, cool, I got that. No, hey, and at the same token, I can say, hey, they want me to do this little pep rally. I need an arrangement. I need you to come over here and teach this arrangement, whatever, to these tubas and these brass players. So I've had very good I've never had no problem with any directors that I've worked with personally. They respect me and I respect them. So I don't know. Y'all just be talking just to talk. So it is what it is. So are your instructional decisions based on what your student needed or what the next level expect? I work with my administration. So I work with other directors as the teacher. With keyword with. All right. So disruption in action, connecting it all. The feeder versus foundation conversation is not a detour from the session, from this theme. Okay. It is a session theme, but it's made personal, and more practical. All right. Disruption requires honesty. Disrupting traditional systems means we are willing to challenge ideas that feel completely normal, even when those ideas are quietly limiting our students. The feeder mindset feels normal to us. It has felt normal for decades. When I first heard somebody mention it, I have a vague recollection. And I was at one, I go to so many conferences. I think I was at the Women Band Director International Conference when I first heard this. And I may be wrong, but I heard it in the context that it was about. It was in the context of who's always at the middle school most of the time at middle schools and the elementary schools. Us. So we get quietly erased and we're just feeders to the ultimate goal, which is 4 years of high school, you know. And the first time I heard it, my mind was blown. I didn't think, hey, let me go argue with this lady because Prof always said it. No, I just thought, wow, okay, let me read up some more on this. And I went and I asked questions afterwards, wrote notes, and went back and read up on it myself, and was like, oh, wow, okay, that makes sense. I concur with that. All right, systems and students are not the same thing. Not everything that works for a system works for a child. Okay. Not everything that works for a system works for a child. Okay. Efficiency for the program is not the same as effectiveness for the learners. We can have a smooth running machine that quietly fails the kids inside of it. That's what's happening. That's why we got 1 to 2% of Black people in symphony orchestras. Redesign is the word. We got to look at redesigning this thing because it's somebody that ain't been working. It ain't been working. And for everybody who had so much mouth, so much of everything to say, but be the same ones sitting in uncut complaining. Ooh, excuse me, I'm letting Satan use me. complaining about how the numbers are dwindling. Band not banding like it usually band. It's mid. Everybody shows mid now. They don't make kids like they used to. You would think that you would be welcome to redesign and reflection. Because somebody's tradition ain't working. It ain't working. It's alarming, the things that I see. It's not about tearing anything down, but it's about building something that actually does what we say we want it to do. Develop musicians, real ones who can function beyond but band. Believe it or not, there's more to music than band, my friends. Students are not inventory. They are not something to be passed up the chain, y'all. They're not inventory. I'm a mother. I'm a mother now. And I wish somebody would be looking at my child like a piece of inventory. Okay? So I don't do other people's children like that. They're not something to be passed up a chain. Um, it should reframe everything in your thinking. Um, and just have a more moral and professional stake in the disruption work. We didn't enter this profession to manage supply chains. We entered it to change lives through music. Okay. The most effective directors tomorrow will be the ones who knew what to keep, what to change, and above all. And that is it, y'all. Let me stop sharing my screen. I hope this thing has been recording. It has. Okay, good. Was about to say, y'all ain't getting this tonight. But yes. So thank you. If you took the time to watch it, put some in the comments. Um, if you choose to use my material, I would love if you hit me up, found out what my name is, and just contact me as a person because I'm a person. And even though I am working on, because I had a situation that was a little scary a couple nights ago. Some guy who has been like following my page for a while ago. I don't know where he came from, but very, very disrespectful, very, very nasty. I don't even know where it came from. He added me some time ago, and he was just acting real nasty. He was acting real nasty. So those kind of people, I realized when I end up, and I think was it last year or the year before last, I was on Uncut arguing with a guy that didn't have any teeth or something. You know what I'm saying? Like I be getting into it with these people, and every time it happens, somebody who cares about me got to remind me, you too accessible. You too accessible. You too accessible. You're too accessible. And I have to remind myself of that. That's right. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to respond to everything. Um, but it's just, I don't know. The teacher in me wants to teach, and I don't understand. When they don't understand, I want them to understand. I don't get it. So um, I'm working on that side of me. All right. So I gotta get off of here. But everybody who came to watch it, I hope you got something out of it. But I just appreciate, please, if you use my work, please just hit me up, just inbox me or something, or go to my website, www.jamiephillips.com, and you can fill the contact form out. But I just would prefer if you wanted to use some of my work, or if you would like to have me speak, or you have a question, you would like me to come on your platform or whatever, www.jamiephillips.com, or just come on my Facebook page and send me a message. Sometimes I hear them, sometimes I don't. Okay. All right. Thank y'all so much, and y'all have a good evening. All right. I'm gonna look at probably doing these once a month. Because it's not gonna be every Tuesday. Okay, but I just had to come back this Tuesday. All right, everybody have a wonderful day and rest of your day. Bye bye.